From the studios of the Republic Media Network, you're watching Arnab Goswami live on The Debate.
Good evening and welcome, dear viewers and fellow countrymen. People live and learn, and some of the greatest mistakes people make in their lives, their professions, are often corrected by experience and a realization from within. And so I hope that realization has dawned on members of the Gupkar gang. After today's meeting chaired by the Prime Minister, they may make noises, but the fact is that they have no choice but to get back to the political process, either do that and take part in the elections after statehood is restored to Jammu and Kashmir, or become irrelevant. Mehbooba Mufti, she can shout and scream and complain, but heart of heart, she knows that if she does not fall in line and take part in the elections in Jammu and Kashmir, then she faces complete political irrelevance. Now, Omar Abdullah, he's almost certainly going to look for an alliance if he ever wants to be Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir ever again. And Omar Abdullah is very ambitious. And he knows that practically, given the political, demographic lay of the land in Jammu and Kashmir, he will be looking for an alliance with the BJP if he ever wants to come back to power again. This is the reality. So whether out of political conviction or political compulsion or political ambition, these Kashmir politicians have accepted and reconciled themselves to the reality that 370 is gone, over, history, and this is a Naya Kashmir with just one flag, the tricolor, and one constitution, our constitution. None of us should care about the posturing that Mehbooba Mufti does or did before or after the meeting. That's drama. Even the Pakistanis who she keeps advocating for have realized that she has outlived her usefulness for them. And she also knows that joining the political process of preparing for the next elections, which she is going to lose anyway, is her only choice. But my dear viewers, those who are going to really be crying tonight, those who will be weeping buckets tonight, will be the $500 a piece writers in New York rags. These dusty vintage columnists who still long for the days when killers like Yasin Malik were part of Delhi's cocktail circuit. These people wanted the industry of separatism to continue. They wanted the terror funding to continue in the name of advocating human rights. They wanted 370 to stay forever. Now they can all go and jump off the cliff of their own foolishness, their political immaturity. The fact of the matter is, we have integrated Kashmir. We have brought Kashmir closer to the rest of the country. And most of all, we have kept the promise that we have made, that our government has made to the people of Kashmir 2 years back. And that's the beautiful part of what happened today. You can ask me today, are you changing your line or not? Do you trust this Gupkar gang? No, viewers. If there's someone who will never trust the Gupkar gang, it will be me. We must not trust the Gupkar gang. I don't, I never will. But I also know today that all of them have willy-nilly fallen in line with the reality of a changed Jammu and Kashmir. A state under one flag, the Tiranga, our Tiranga, and one constitution, our constitution. That's the beauty of what has happened today. The Indian constitution that binds us all now also binds alone all the people of Jammu and Kashmir with it. You may find this change a very simple change. You may say, what's the big deal? But let me remind everyone today that this one change, and I want to show you a picture today, this one change, visible symbolically in that one picture of the Prime Minister of India and Amit Shah meeting the Kashmir leaders. This one picture today was actually very difficult to actually bring about. The anti-nationals, they said it would never happen. Well, tonight, viewers, the anti-nationals and the writers in the New York rags, the obsolete and opportunistic Lutyens losers can eat their hearts out. Because India has won, Kashmir is on its way to a historic statehood election and real and complete political integration. Let the Lutyens losers eat their hearts out, viewers, and let us all together celebrate what happened today. And that's debate number one tonight, viewers. The Gupkar gang has come back, has come into the mainstream willy-nilly. Now, will the once pro-Azadi Gupkar gang have they eaten their own words on the Prime Minister's Kashmir policy? That's debate number one. And debate number two this evening, viewers. Now that the big integration has happened, why weren't pundits brought to the table? They are protesting, and rightfully, big debate on that on debate number two. And debate number three this evening. We have the distraught Pakistanis on debate number three as the Azadi entrepreneurs fueling the devastating Pakistani economy go bankrupt post the abrogation of Article 370. It's time for Pakistan to look within. And here are the headlines. This Thursday evening on the debate tonight. Applause, applause, applause. Big, big day for Indian democracy. The Modi government's Kashmir policy wins with a historic representation from Kashmir at the Prime Minister's residence. Integration vision delivered with precision and sincerity 2 years after abrogation. Will elections and statehood be next? As the Gupkar gang, along with others, reaches the Prime Minister's residence, will they now finally admit they've swallowed the magic potion of integration? Kashmiri pundits hit the streets in protest as the Gupkar gang gets the government invite, but pundit leaders don't. When will the dialogue open up with pundits? And with a historic Kashmir integration meeting in New Delhi and terror figures sliced by half, Pakistan's Azadi company can now officially declare they are bankrupt. So the Kashmir policy has won. And how today? In the biggest affirmation to Indian democracy, the biggest opponents to the policy itself reached the Prime Minister's residence for a meeting. Talk of statehood, talk of elections, talk of a Delhi model. This is complete integration, the only option for Kashmir. That integration has also won the hearts of the people of Kashmir. Here are the dramatic developments this afternoon and evening in New Delhi, and then our big debate.
कहना चाहता हूं कि यूटी का जवाब जहां तक सवाल है, लद्दाख यूटी वो तो लद्दाख वालों की डिमांड जो आपने आज तक पूरी नहीं। जहां तक जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का सवाल है, परिस्थिति वहां नॉर्मल होते ही उचित समय पर हम तुरंत उस पर पुनर्विचार करेंगे और निर्णय लेंगे।
To a thundering Lok Sabha, Union Home Minister Amit Shah announced India's historic decision to strike down Article 370. And with it, kicked off the process to fully integrate Kashmir with the rest of India.
आप खाना नहीं खा रहे?
Today, less than 2 years later, sincere to its word, 14 leaders from 8 parties, including the Gupkar gang, from Farooq and Omar Abdullah to Mehbooba Mufti and Ghulam Nabi Azad, all walked into 7 Lok Kalyan Marg on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's invitation. Top sources confirm that the Modi government will not budge on Article 370. But what is undeniable is that the biggest cynics who painted a nightmarish picture about post-370 Kashmir are today back on the table with hunched backs.
वो चाहते हैं कि फौरी तौर जम्मू कश्मीर को दोबारा रियासत का दर्जा दिया जाए और पूरी तरह से रियासत का दर्जा दिया जाए, कोई हाफ हार्टेड स्टेट नहीं, इसमें फुल स्टेटहुड विद J&K cadre restored to J&K, not UT cadre, not any other cadre. J&K must be restored its full statehood and must be restored its own independent cadre, and we want that J&K should be, as with other states, the people should be allowed to choose their own government, and that government should be allowed to take decisions.
देखिए, बहुत ही अच्छे माहौल में बात हुई. मैंने जम्मू कश्मीर के हवाले से बात की. जो जम्मू कश्मीर के लोग इस वक्त कई तरह की मुसीबतें सह रहे हैं, बहुत मुश्किल में हैं, बहुत तकलीफ में है. जम्मू कश्मीर के लोग 2019 5 अगस्त के बाद गुस्से में हैं, नाराज़ हैं. मैंने उनको कहा कि जम्मू कश्मीर में जो 5 अगस्त 2019 को जिस अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल और इलीगल और इमोरल तरीके से 370 को हटाया गया, हमारी जमात जम्मू कश्मीर के लोग कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली, डेमोक्रेटिकली, पीसफुली स्ट्रगल करेंगे, चाहे महीने लग जाए या साल लग जाए. हम जम्मू कश्मीर में 370 बहाल करेंगे.
They have built their entire political existence on the slogan of Azadi and the flag of Article 370. With it gone and integration the only option, there is undeniably an existential crisis. Hear what Mehbooba Mufti and Omar Abdullah were saying days and months before Article 370 was struck down.
हमने उस वक्त अपना सदर रियासत और वजीर आजम भी रखा था जो इन्होंने काटा. इंशाल्लाह उसको भी हम वापस ले आएंगे.
Smashing their catastrophic theories about the striking down of 370, development is reaching the last village on the border and terrorism is down by over 50%.
पीसफुल टाउन है, पीसफुल इलाका है. आज की तारीख में राजवाड़ इस इलाके के अंदर बहुत कम टेररिस्ट की हरकतें चल रही हैं. ये सिर्फ इसलिए हुआ है क्योंकि आज की तारीख में हालात अच्छे हैं और लोगों ने हमारा साथ दिया इसके ऊपर.
Tonight, as the centre in the biggest act of democracy gives even the most vocal and often self-serving detractors a seat on the table to plan the roadmap for Naya Kashmir, will all those who try to build a nightmare-like situation for the last 2 years eat their words? As the centre gears up for possible elections in the valley, will those who refuse to accept the Indian constitution apologize? And will there be an unequivocal admission by every leader who walked into 7 Lok Kalyan Marg that abrogation of Article 370 was a resounding success? Let's debate.
Altab Bukhari of the Jammu and Kashmir Apni Party was in the meeting, and Bhim Singh, very senior leader, president of the Jammu and Kashmir National Panthers Party, was in the meeting. Mr. Bhim Singh, Mr. Altab Bukhari, I'd like both of you to share with us first. Dr. Bhim Singh, to you first. Can you share the inside track a little bit about what happened inside the meeting? What was the main agenda for this meeting? What can you share with us?
Well, this is an interesting question you put me. There was no agenda of the meeting. Everybody cried. and press knows about it, media knows about it. But anyway, we got an opportunity to speak Congress, National Conference, and Panthers Party. Three political parties from Jammu and Kashmir were the only recognized political parties. Others also spoke. And it's very interesting. When my turn came, I was the last speaker, and after me, Home Minister spoke, then the Prime Minister. It was a very brief time, but I conveyed to the Prime Minister of India, to the whole of the country, I want to know why the state of Jammu and Kashmir has not been integrated with the rest of the country according to the letter and spirit of the instrument of accession which was signed by Maharaja Hari Singh on 26th October 1947 and approved by Lord Mountbatten next morning. This is a great tragedy that the Constituent Assembly of India did not include Jammu and Kashmir in the Union of Territory. In the list of Union of Territory, only 75 states were included except Jammu and Kashmir. And Jammu and Kashmir was not part as a Union Territory of India even in 1950 when Constitution of India was written and presented. Even after that, the Parliament never took the pain. I don't know under what pressure, whose pressure, I don't want to say that. But Jammu and Kashmir, accession of Jammu and Kashmir to the Union. I raised in the Assembly this question. It has not been ratified till today.
What I'm very keen to know.
Main issue.
What I'm very keen to know, Dr. Bhim Singh, and this question I'd like to put to Mr. Altaf Bukhari. Mr. Bukhari, what I'm very keen to know is whether any of these other parties or yourself or anyone made a big hue and cry about Article 370 being abrogated. Because as I said in the beginning of my program today, the most significant part of today's meeting seems to be a realization among all political parties who attended the meeting that the removal of Article 370 and 35A is an undeniable reality that everyone has to live with.
Let me be very honest. The issue of Article 370 and 35A had been raised in the meeting by different participants in their own different ways. Some raised it like we raised it, that since it is sub judice, it may be got expedited from the Supreme Court of India. Some said that since it was sub judice, it should not be discussed. Some said that we will continue asking for restoration of Article 370. But the Prime Minister heard, there was no reply from the Prime Minister on it because obviously he did not want to answer because this was a deal done by him.
Are we looking at elections soon? And, what I'm also very keen to know.
Yes, we are looking at
this question I'd like to put to you. Are we looking at elections soon? The completion of the delimitation exercise? In your mind, Mr. Bukhari, what is the time frame we are looking at for elections?
I think the Prime Minister made it very clear because there was a unanimous demand that grassroots level democracy should be restored soon so that people choose their own representatives. The Prime Minister made it clear that it has to go through the delimitation process. Some of us said, including me, that why not postpone the delimitation process, but the Home Minister and Prime Minister made it clear that it will have to go ahead and asked all parties to participate in it, and I see a time limit of 3 to 4 months maximum for completion of the delimitation and thereafter elections, which is a great takeaway from this meeting.
So
because people
that's a big takeaway, but that's also a big success, isn't it, Mr. Bhim Singh? Because when I remember that when the Prime Minister said, and when I think the Home Minister Amit Shah also said, Dr. Bhim Singh 2 years back, that when there is normalcy or a semblance of normalcy, we will go back and, return to statehood. We will begin the election process. Many people felt that the center would not keep its promise. But today, in a way, the government has kept exactly that promise that it made when 370 was removed. Do you agree?
So I totally agree. The Prime Minister was very considerate, and I feel obliged to him that he accepted, he agreed that return of the statehood is very essential. But Prime Minister of India could not tell me why instrument of accession should not be handed over to Lok Sabha as a part of the Constituent Assembly, so that this dispute, which may not go to the International Court of Justice, may be denied. There's a dangerous phenomenon, and the people are very, very sad thing. Prime Minister did not mention Jammu, it's a Kashmir. Every leader of the party, particularly the ministers, they mention Kashmir problem, Kashmir issue. What about Jammu issue, where there's a base of RSS and BJP? So this people must have noticed it. I feel very sad that government of India does.
I get your point. Now, before Dr. Bhim Singh, I'd like to thank you at this point, and Altaf Bukhari stay on for the political debate. I have with us our senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor also joining us with inside track on what's happening, and I'd like to go across to the members on our political panel tonight. Aparijata Sarangi, spokesperson and member of parliament of the BJP. Smita Prakash, she watches Kashmir very closely. Editor ANI, General Bakshi, GM Shaheen, senior leader of the JNK JDU, Raja Munib, who's joining us, a political commentator from Srinagar, Usman Majid from the JNK Apni Party, Iftikhar Misgar, and Sarfaraz Wani. So thank you all very much for joining us right now. Now, Abhishek, I think the most significant thing is this meeting. You have 14 leaders from 8 parties. The biggest fact is that this is the first such meeting since the abrogation of Article 370. And this is the largest setback for those who question the abrogation. Can you tell us why, and what's the inside track? What really happened inside? What are the headlines you can share?
Well, Arnab, first the headlines or the inside track, and this is important because this is about the more important leaders present in the meeting. One, Mehbooba, contrary to her soundbite outside, actually raised 370 only obliquely. She did not mention Pakistan. And that's an important takeaway, I think, from this meeting, that whatever she is doing, perhaps she has some other constituency in mind and not the national constituency, and that's going to perhaps affect her politics. Number 2, Omar Abdullah also did not raise Article 370 because the time ran out, so he sort of missed it out. Then Sajjad Lone said that talking to Pakistan is actually above their pay grade. It's for the MEA to decide, which essentially means that anything on Kashmir, it's for MEA to discuss. Earlier, remember, separatists would be jumping in, separatist sentiment from Kashmir would be jumping in about talking to Pakistan. We had Mehbooba yesterday also talking about it, nothing today. Then we had Ghulam Nabi Azad taking a very statesmanly, accommodative posture. That's the inside track I'm getting on. But couple of points I have to make about this entire exercise. Prime Minister.
So there's a lot of posturing. I mean, the sense I get then is that Mehbooba Mufti comes out and that this whole big drama, whereas inside the meeting, she quietly sits in agreement. That's hypocrisy. But what else do you expect from members of the Gupkar gang?
Yes.
What else can you expect from them?
Well, Arnab, the sum total of this exercise is that, very importantly, Pakistan stands jettisoned from the mainstream political discourse of Kashmir. Nobody is talking about separatists. Nobody is talking about Mirwais Umar Farooqs and Yasin Maliks and Gilanis. And essentially the focus now is getting democratic exercise back on track. Everyone
Correct.
talked about delimitation, followed by elections, followed by statehood. I think that was the consensus between all participating members.
Well, you know, now let's get straight. Abhishek, let's get straight into the debate because many of our panelists are getting very restless right now to go straight into the debate. And can you hear me, Raja Munib? Mr. Raja Munib, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Munib, I want to start with you. I want to start with you and General Bakshi tonight. You know, the doomsday narrative, Raja Munib, has been punctured. All the people who said when 370 goes, there'll be doomsday, punctured. 5 Congress demands are there through Ghulam Nabi Azad. Not one is about the restoration of 370, General Bakshi, not one. Which means while Digvijay Singh talks about removing 370, the Congress knows the reality. People of Kashmir have accepted the removal of 370. Omar Abdullah, General Bakshi, also Raja Munib, distances himself from this Mufti line, Mehbooba Mufti line. He says that the Home Minister has said the decision soon to restore statehood will happen. The elections will happen. So it's a sea change. Complete sea change. It's a setback for all the people who question the removal of 370. Raja Munib, that's the way I look at it.
You're absolutely right, Arnab, because if you look at it, the political scenario in Kashmir also, we have seen the DDC elections happening very successfully. Article 370 was at the backdrop. All these parties contested, quoting Article 370 or the restoration of statehood. But today what you have seen in New Delhi is that the centre hasn't budged from its line. The Prime Minister had made it very clear that unless and until the delimitation process doesn't get through, there won't be discussion on any other issues. So some of the reality has hit them, and at the end of the day, the lot of talk we saw before the meeting happened, it was a lot of posturing to their local constituencies, to their constituencies here in Kashmir. But actually, they have to tread the new path, and they don't see options for themselves. They have to survive.
No. So they built So General Bakshi, they built a nightmare situation when 370 was abrogated. They said Kashmir will break from the rest of India. Everything has changed right now, and today's meeting proves it has. General Bakshi versus Iftikhar Misgard, please.
Arnab, can I kindly have my say? Hello?
Sir. Yes, General Bakshi. Go on.
Arnab, the very somber looks on the faces of the Gupkar gang, the very somber mood and attitude is a reflection of a military reality. Pakistan can do nothing about Jammu and Kashmir and its integration with India. Especially after Balakot, Pakistan realizes the costs and consequences of any adventurous, policies. It has sobered down, right? Apart from making noises, it has been able to do sweet Fanny Adams. Arnab, the Chinese tried to bully us. The Chinese tried to cow us down, and they have had to eat crow. They've had to eat crow.
Well said.
What you are seeing today, as you have very rightly pointed out, is the military reality. Somebody wants Jammu and Kashmir, come and get it. If you have the thumb, come and get it. This has been driven home. There were a number of people who were entertaining hopes that China would get them this or Pakistan would get them this. They have been disabused. The somber mood that you see, please let me finish. Misgar Saab, can I request you to let me finish?
Yeah, please.
Then I'd love to hear you. I'd love to hear you.
Please.
Thank you. Arnab, one of the most decisive steps ever taken by the Indian government on Kashmir was 22 months ago when we decided to do away with Article 370 and with 35A. For once we made it clear to the world that there would be no ifs and buts. on Indian sovereignty over Kashmir, a territorial jurisdiction over Kashmir. The farce that was created by the Nehru Sheikh Abdullah combined, immediately after a clear accession had been made to India. The subversion of the legality that has been set right. It was a temporary provision forced on India by treachery. It has been thrown into the dustbin, into the waste.
No, I agree. No. Why you will come in. Iftikhar, 1 minute. Now, General Bakshi, you can see that when you are speaking, you are making people like Iftikhar Misgar, whose basic livelihood is abusing India. You're making them very, very nervous. Look at him today. Aparajita Sarangi, GD Bakshi, look closely at Iftikhar Misgar. 1 minute, Iftikhar. 1 minute, Iftikhar, let me please bludgeon you first and then you respond. Listen to me, please. Listen to me. Quietly take it. Now listen to me. 14 leaders sitting on a table. 2 years back, they said, tod denge, cheat denge, jala denge, jism se nikal denge. I'll tell you the kind of filmy drama. Mehbooba Mufti, today she was sitting quietly at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. In 2019, she had said, Aparajita, 35A के साथ छेड़छाड़ करना बारूद को हाथ लगाने के बराबर होगा. जो हाथ 35A और 370 के साथ छेड़छाड़ करने के लिए उठेंगे, वो हाथ ही नहीं, वो सारा जिस्म जल के राख हो जाएगा. And today, all these people with their hunched backs, quietly limp back, quietly go limping back to Lok Kalyan Marg. No, this is the reality. This is the reality. 1 minute, I'll tell you, I'll give you one more example. आपको मैं आज छोड़ूंगा नहीं. 1 मिनट रुकिए. एक और example देता हूँ.
Let me open your eyes first.
Okay.
The other reality is this meeting happened only because of the international pressure. And these all political leaders across all the actors playing the role, and they have played it well today also. They showed the international community that all is well in Kashmir, and the things are not. They have done it previously when this Panchayat election happened. They kept the mouth, tried to keep the mouth of international community shut. See, the constitutional bench, what this government has done, has been replied internationally. You have to listen today or tomorrow. You are
why do you want to?
Demoralizing the country.
Why do you?
are demoralizing I am
the only Iftikhar 1 minute. Iftikhar, listen, no, please. Aparajita Sarangi, please ask Iftikhar Misgar for Joe Biden's cell phone number. Because Joe Biden has called him on his cell phone and told him that the meeting today has happened under American pressure. Please share Joe Biden's cell phone number because he called you.
No, please.
No, he didn't call you. So who called you? Kamala Harris called you. No, who called you? Charlie Chaplin called you. Who called you? No, what are you talking about? No, but who told you? No, this is the case. No, 1 minute. This is the case. 1 minute. 1 minute. Now, Iftikhar, 1 minute. Iftikhar, 1 minute. Iftikhar, this is the same kind of sugar-coated rubbish. Farooq Abdullah, who flew down to attend the all-party meeting, had earlier said that I want help from the Chinese to restore 370. What happened to the Chinese help? Who wanted international help?
They are actors of this drama. Everybody is playing the role, and they have done it today also.
Choro drama.
They were playing previously also.
Okay.
They are playing today also. They are
Aparajita.
of Kashmiris.
Aparajita Sarangi of the BJP responding on the page at 9:23 p.m.
Yes. I am reminded today of the words of John Milton, the great poet, full of sound and fury signifying nothing. I happened to be the member of the Lok Sabha, and on 5th August 2019, when it was passed, I was very much there in the Lok Sabha for 2 full days and 2 full nights. And I have seen the fire and the fury everywhere. I've seen the kind of heated exchanges that we had that point of time. And today, we see what has happened. Again, Prime Minister Modi has led the nation from the front. Today is the day to celebrate. See, again, burying all differences, our Prime Minister and his team, his government, have come forward and offered the olive branch. Because, you know, we know what are our priorities. We are not here to indulge in bickerings. We are here for the larger good of the people of the country. Democracy is our topmost priority. This is a major outcome of today's meeting. Delimitation exercise should be expedited. This is the second major outcome. The third, of course, is development is our major agenda, and all of us should be aware of it. There is tremendous focus on development. And fourth, very important, is that the youth must come forward. So I think we have made our intentions very clear. We want the holistic development of Jammu and Kashmir. Yes. I think Iftikharji has to stop before I can speak. He just cannot keep shouting like this. Again, it is full of sound and fury signifying nothing.
Don't shout.
Please don't shout like that.
Don't shout.
Don't shout like that.
No.
See, you come with facts and figures. When I speak to you as the spokesperson of the party, I have both facts and figures. For the past 22 months, the central government has been focusing on development and has been trying to bring in peace in the valley and in Jammu. You must remember this very well. And we are aware of the kind of financial support that the center has been giving. On 22nd of January 20, I remember, about 80,068 crore have been given to the state of Jammu, for the UT of Jammu and Kashmir for its overall development. We are all aware of that. And after 28 years, I think it was pending for 28 years, the 73rd amendment was brought into force in Jammu and Kashmir, and now we have about 3,650 sarpanches and 33,000 panches. This is not a joke. This could be done only because Prime Minister Modi has been our leader and he has led the nation from the front. Let me tell you, right now, at this juncture, about 634 panchayats of yours, 634 panchayats of Jammu and Kashmir are all connected through internet. We are aware of that. And we are working on having 2 digital villages in every district. What I'm trying to focus on is we are very much focusing on development. And 15 lakh houses we are working on, we are trying to provide them with water supply. You're all well aware of that. So while you all are criticizing the government, kind of, proving that cynicism is the disease you are suffering from, we in the government are working for the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
No, today I don't want to rub it in.
There to get employment.
No, Aparajita ji.
Yes.
Aparajita ji.
All the facts and figures.
I don't want to rub it in. I don't want to say we won, you lost and all that. I don't want to do that, because we are not petty. The Gupkar gang may be petty. The people who have always supported Yassin Malik, they are petty, they are narrow-minded, they are anti-national. We are not like them. We must never become like them. In fact, one of the promises we must make to ourselves is, despite all the provocation, we must never become petty and narrow-minded like them. But, having said that, how do I resist?
Absolutely, I agree with you.
How do I resist? I am human too. On the 16th of May 2014, I was reporting on the results of the general elections of 2014. Narendra Modi became Prime Minister. 11 days later, somebody called Omar Abdullah at about 11 o'clock in the evening put out a tweet and he said, can I read out the tweet? Usman Majid, Sarfaraz Wani, I hope you will not, your blood pressure won't go up. He said, mark my words and save this tweet. Mark my words and save this tweet. Long after the Narendra Modi government is a distant memory, either Jammu and Kashmir will not be a part of India or Article 370 will still exist. Now Article 370 does not exist. Jammu and Kashmir is fully integrated as a part of India. And what do I say about Omar Abdullah? Quietly, he has gone in his car with security provided by the central government, met the Prime Minister, and accepted that the Kashmir policy was the greatest one. Even Ghulam Nabi Azad, who said that the BJP has murdered the Constitution of India, he said that on 5th August, is quietly sitting there and agreeing that the BJP policy was fantastic. He said, we have murdered the Constitution of India. He said, Jammu Kashmir ka tukda kar diya. Mr. Usman Majid, you hear me? These are the statements they made then. Smita.
Arnab,
Yes, Sarfaraz.
Can I comment?
Yes, please, Sarfaraz. Yeah, please.
Arnab, don't see what was done. See the mannerism in which it was done. Don't go by this that 370 was done away with unconstitutionally by the Bajpa government, and now you are.
I am not saying at all it was unconstitutional. I think the removal of Article 370 is the greatest thing ever done.
In which it was done.
No, I don't want to use that history.
And regarding
who's looking back?
Prime Minister.
Who's looking back?
Not at all.
No, I'm talking about today. I'm talking about today. Today, Prime Minister and Home Minister met the people who according to them were traitors, who according to them were Pakistani agents, who according to them were financed by Pakistan, who according to all of you media people were Gufkar gang.
No, I'm sorry. Did Omar Abdullah, was he brought in handcuffs?
Why?
Was Omar Abdullah brought in handcuffs, or did he come on his own?
Why?
Sorry, no, 1 minute.
Why?
No, Smita, what do you mean why? Was Omar Abdullah brought in handcuffs? He came on his own, he wanted to be there.
Why were they invited?
Why were they invited? Why did they come?
You wanted, BJP government wanted to sideline. BJP government wanted to sideline and put up those people who will place their narrative. Who will place their narrative. But they failed it. They failed to dislodge them. They failed to dislodge them. They failed to dislodge the mainstream political parties in Kashmir. They failed to dislodge the mainstream political space in Kashmir. And now once they have failed, they have no other option than to come and invite them.
For many of us who have seen humiliating pictures of the Hurriyat meeting with Advani or Yasin Malik meeting with Manmohan Singh when they were prime ministers, today the 14 Kashmiri leaders discussing the future of the state with the Indian Prime Minister minus the
according to Bajpa, they said that they are radicalizing mullahs. So my point is, why did you meet them then? When they were radicalizing mullahs,
it is an attempt to apply band-aid and the bitterness of the politics of Kashmir. Understood. I mean, abrogation of 370 was never going to be easily accepted by leaders who have been entrenched in the political process for a long time. They have been in jail, many of them in solitary confinement. In spite of that, they came in hunchback or sitting straight. But they were there discussing the future of the state. This meeting has given hope because they seem to be able to have got over their differences within the Gupta group as well as with the government. What they came and said outside the posturing, of course they will have to do that because they have their constituencies in mind. But they also know that they have to go beyond demanding restoration of 370, statehood, 335A, talk to Pakistan, talk to China. All these are posturings. They also realize that now political normalcy means restoration of political normalcy means elections and delimitation.
Nothing changed. Nothing changed.
Well, the fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter, no, 1 minute, just 1 minute. Is that Usman Majid? Is that Usman Majid wanting to come into the debate, Mr. Majid?
Yeah.
Sarfaraz, will you allow him to come in?
I just want to tell you one thing.
Arnab, let me make my point.
I take this invitation from the Prime Minister as a positivist. Do you remember, Mr. Arnab, when we launched our party, which is headed by Mr. Bukhari, Altaf Bukhari? What did they say when we went to the Prime Minister? We met Home Minister, we met the leaders in Delhi. Just for what? The beginning has to be done at that time because everything was vague. There was confusion. And we could not go back. We had to move forward. They called us that time, all these leaders about whom you talked about their tweets. This is their history. They said it is sellout. We have sold this to the the government of India, Article 370. They said they are the B team of BJP. I'm really happy today. Today they are there. They were with the Prime Minister, and they got an opportunity to meet Prime Minister and discuss the issue. It is good. I really appreciate this stuff. But the issues are there, which you said about Pakistan and other foreign countries. You know, we have seen it for the last 70 years. The issue is between Delhi and people of Jammu and Kashmir. There is no one involved. We have seen for the 76 years. We have seen it. If we have a problem, we always went to the Delhi, and Delhi tried to sort out. If we have any doubt about anything, we talk to Delhi, and anything we can get from Delhi. We cannot get it from Pakistan, but they are talking to this China, they are talking America. No one is in Prime Minister, when they abrogated this Article 370, who was border in the world? Pakistan went door to door. They went everywhere. That's what we have learned, the lesson in Kashmir. We have learned lesson in Jammu. We know that we cannot, the party which has abrogated this Article 370, I don't as an individual, I don't expect they are going to give it back. They have removed it. This was there in agenda. And equally the Congress has damaged. Today you have seen the approach of Congress. Some people are saying we'll bring back Article 370, and today Azad have said.
But Usman Saab, can I make a point to you, sir? What you're saying, a lot of things I agree with, some I disagree with. The point I want to make to you, sir, is that the image that had been projected, and I want GM Shaheen to come in on this, after the abrogation of 370, it had been said that New Delhi is arrogant, draconian, one-way, anti-democracy, right? But now, if the center wanted, it could have continued like this. But the Prime Minister is personally holding a meeting with those who opposed him to take everybody along on a democratic roadmap. I think it's fantastic. This Gupkar gang, I don't trust, but they have been invited despite their pro-370 position. Despite their pro-370 position, they have been invited, which shows the maturity of the Narendra Modi government. In the presence of the Lieutenant Governor, the delimitation exercise is being discussed.
That is question there. Certainly,
doesn't it show the maturity of the government? Mr. Shaheen,
they was yesterday asking for the these Gupkar people was talking behalf of Pakistan some days before, behalf of China some days before. That shock today for the people, the sentiments of people of Jammu and Kashmir are a little bit hurted, because the true nationalist people who belongs to this motherland, and if today that this Abdullahs and Muftis was again there, but overall it is a democracy and the Prime Minister of the country wants to take the board. That is different, but really it is shocking, because that should not be happening.
Why is it shocking?
They are not the trustworthy people.
What is shocking? What is shocking, sir?
Today, if they are,
what is shocking?
Yesterday they was asking about Pakistan. Yesterday they was asking about China, and today we are taking them in board. That is not good. But ultimately, one more thing is there. If the Prime Minister of the country is giving them the chance to prove them, because they have to prove what they are first. And Delhi, they are telling, their words are something different. In Srinagar, their words are something different. But we never believe these Abdullahs and Muftis, which is not good for the democracy of this country, which I mean to say. As per the Article 370 and rest other things are concerned, it's up to the Parliament, and matter is in this sub-judicial.
No, sir. I have a slightly different perspective on this, sir. Sir, I have a different perspective on this, sir. May I say one thing? Whatever is happening today, these one line, Smita, I hand it over to you. You know, these Gupkar gang, which is there for the meeting, is not there out of any. They're coming there out of their compulsion. My feeling is that they are coming there out of their compulsion because the people of Jammu and Kashmir have seen the development that has come in the last 2 years. You know, they have seen that DDC elections turnout was 51%, higher than panchayats, higher than Lok Sabha elections. Unemployment rate has fallen from 16% to 9%. Youth in Kashmir are getting jobs, sir. Am I wrong, Smita? That, jobs, youth are getting financial assistance, they are setting up businesses.
We believe.
That's the reality.
Absolutely. The story that is coming out of Kashmir, out of Jammu and Kashmir, is about vaccinations happening, COVID vaccinations happening. It's not about stone pelting. So I think the Gupkar leaders are also have smelled the coffee. That's why today in the meeting there were no walkouts, there were no sharp words exchanged. It's something to be appreciated. I understand very well that X or Y within the party or within the grouping or outside might think that inko kyun bulaya? Why call them? Because they have said such nasty things. But the thing is that when you're thawing the ice, when you're taking baby steps in Kashmir towards normalcy, and there have been so many occasions where things have gone wrong. So if this is happening and if there has been a peaceful way that this meeting was conducted by the Prime Minister and Home Minister, I think it is going towards normalcy. It is a ray of hope that is shining and it must be appreciated. Take everybody along is what the Prime Minister has signaled to everybody. So I think every politician who is part or
now,
not yet
one
part
last question.
of this grouping should make sure that they join in this. For decades one has paid the price.
Aparajita, one last question, 10
state.
seconds please. Very brief from you, I'm short of time. Aparajita, for all those who believe that the BJP policy on Kashmir should be more hardline, by taking members of the Gupkar gang along, have you moderated your line or softened your line?
This is the beauty of our governance model, I would say, Arnab. That is how we should go about. We have buried all our differences because we know our priority and development is the main agenda. We want holistic development of Jammu and Kashmir, and that is why, today we listen to all the 5 demands very coolly, very patiently. And if you ask me what has been the best aspect of today's meeting, I would say it was agenda-less. And I'm sure this was with some kind of intention.
No, we are not agreeing. How can you take the
everybody should feel comfortable.
Well, this has been, we are just setting up the conversation tonight. We're setting up the conversation beautifully, and Abhishek, who's been following this very closely, will co-anchor the entire program with me this evening. And after the break, when we are back, we have 2 big debates, viewers, on this Kashmir special. The first, and the one particularly closest to my heart, and it is a cause that Republic continues to fight for till justice is delivered, is for the Kashmiri Pandits. The Kashmiri Pandits were not invited to the crucial meeting in Delhi today. And while may say that's because this was not a political, this was a political gathering, there is no shying away from the fact that Kashmiri Pandits continue to wait for justice, for integration, for a safe way back home. Could an invite today have made them rightful equal stakeholders in the vision the Prime Minister is setting, and the way forward in Kashmir could have been a bigger game changer? Debate on that on top of 10 p.m.